know what I'm saying? Still juggling and shit.
Ooh, hop in that
Carolina cornerback Josh Norman this week told the media his opponent Odell Beckham seems very enticing.
In the high-stakes world of the NFL, few stories capture the roller coaster of fame and fortune quite like that of Josh Norman. From small-town beginnings to the zenith of professional football, Norman's journey is a cautionary tale of meteoric rise and gradual decline. Our story begins in Conway, South Carolina, where a young Josh Norman made a name for himself at Coastal Carolina University. Despite playing for a small school, Norman's talent was undeniable. In 2012, the Carolina Panthers took a chance on a young Josh Norman, selecting him in the 5th round. Little did they know, they had just drafted a future star. Norman's first few seasons were a mix of promise and growing pains, but in 2015, everything changed. While Norman showed flashes of brilliance in his first few seasons, it was 2015 that truly put him on the map and changed his life forever. As the calendar turned to 2015, something clicked for Josh Norman. The Carolina Panthers were about to embark on a historic season, and Norman would be at the heart of it all. The 2015 Panthers were a force to be reckoned with, led by MVP quarterback Cam Newton and a ferocious defense. They stormed through the regular season, but it was Josh Norman who often stole the headlines. From week 1, Norman was on fire. In the season opener against Jacksonville, he returned an interception for a touchdown, setting the tone for a dominant year. Norman's final stats for 2015 were eye-popping. 4 interceptions, 2 of which he returned for touchdowns, 18 passes defended, 3 forced fumbles, and 56 total tackles. But numbers alone don't tell the full story. Norman was tasked with shadowing the league's top receivers week in and week out: Julio Jones, Dez Bryant, Mike Evans, of course, Odell Beckham Jr. Norman neutralized them all. His fierce battles with Odell Beckham Jr. became instant classics, showcasing Norman's physicality and mental toughness. According to Pro Football Focus, Norman allowed the lowest passer rating, 54, when targeted among all cornerbacks. Opposing quarterbacks quickly learned to avoid his side of the field entirely. As the wins piled up, Norman's confidence soared. His brash personality and lockdown coverage made him the face of a Panthers defense that finished 6th overall in yards allowed. Panthers' 15-1 regular season record was the best in franchise history, and Norman was a key reason why. He earned his first career Pro Bowl selection, as well as earning first-team All-Pro. In the playoffs, the fire continued. He helped shut down the high-powered Arizona Cardinals in the NFC Championship game, propelling the Panthers to the Super Bowl 50, their first ever franchise appearance. Though the Panthers fell short against Denver in the Super Bowl, Norman's performance throughout the season helped cement his status as one of the NFL's elite cornerbacks. 2015 wasn't just a great season for Josh Norman, it was historic. He had established himself as a true shutdown corner, capable of erasing an opponent's top weapon. His unique combination of physicality, ball skills, and football IQ made him seem unstoppable. Norman looked poised to dominate for years to come. The football world waited with bated breath to see what he would do for an encore. In the offseason, contract negotiations between Norman and the Panthers broke down. Suddenly, the market's hottest defensive back was a free agent. After having one of the best seasons of Norman's entire life, he earned a 5-year, $75 million contract, the biggest of any corner in NFL history, signing with the Washington Redskins in 2016. Now, his first year with Washington, Norman largely lived up to expectations. He recorded 3 interceptions, 19 passes defended, and 67 tackles. While not quite at his 2015 All-Pro level, he was still considered among the league's top corners. But this is where things start to get weird. The cracks began to show in 2017. Norman's interception total dropped to 0. Though he did force 2 fumbles, his passes defended fell to 9, less than half of the previous season. Norman seemed to be losing a step, especially against speedier receivers. His aggressive style, once his hallmark, now left him vulnerable to double moves and deep routes against really any true route runner. But even then, after getting injuries thrown out the window and being healthy, Norman struggled. Quarterbacks were now targeting him more frequently, no longer fearing the once-then shutdown corner of years past. His passes defended rebounded to 15, but he allowed more completions and touchdowns than his entire career. And in 2019, Norman's regression was impossible to ignore. He was benched midway through the season, losing his starting job to younger, more agile corners. And after the season, the Washington Redskins officially parted ways with the once thin, star-studded corner and cut him. His completion percentage skyrocketed. According to Pro Football Focus, Norman allowed a passer rating of 129 when targeting, one of the worst marks in the league for starting corners. It was basically just like Oprah, giving out everything for free. You get a touchdown, you get some yards. Shouts out, bro. So what exactly changed? Norman's decline wasn't due to one single factor, but a combination of issues. Well, of course, loss of speed. Now this comes with age. You can expect this from anybody. Once able to mirror even the quickest receivers, Norman now struggled to keep up on deep routes and crossing patterns. Aggressive style at the line of scrimmage became a liability. Without the recovery speed of his youth, he was often beaten off the release, and just the loss of sheer strength, he couldn't get these players jammed up like he used to. Playmaking ability, the instincts that once led to game-changing interceptions seemed to fade. Norman was reacting rather than anticipating. The flying agile demon once would pick off quarterbacks and return it to the crib was just no longer a thing. He didn't have the speed or really any attributes to make plays. He just had to not allow plays to be made on him. And of course, scheme fit. Washington's defensive schemes didn't always play to Norman's strengths, often leaving him isolated without safety help. Anybody that knows Josh Norman knows he is not a man-to-man corner. He has always been a fantastic zone coverage corner. When you allow him to keep his eyes on the quarterback's eyes, that's when he makes plays, and that's when he's at his best. Going to Washington running more man definitely hurt his stats. While no major injuries derailed Norman's career, the accumulation of minor hamstring, rib, and knee issues likely took their toll. The physical demands of the cornerback position leave little room for even slight decreases in athleticism. Norman's final years in the league with Buffalo and San Francisco were marked by limited playing time and further declined production. Brief flashes of his old form only served to highlight how far he had fallen from his peak. Josh Norman's story is a stark reminder of how quickly things can change in the NFL. From the league's highest paid corner to a backup in just 4 years, his career arc demonstrates the razor-thin margins between stardom and struggle in professional football. In the end, Josh Norman's legacy is a complex one. A cautionary tale, yes, but also a reminder of just how brilliant he was at his peak. A shutdown corner who, for one magical season, looked poised to redefine his position. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, stay tuned. Peace.